I'm going to show you how to prune, the first prune for these Japanese mountain maple. By the way, I haven't worn my Hawaiian shirts for a while, and this is a lovely Hawaiian shirt gifted to me by Anthony from Bermuda. So, hello Anthony. I had a lovely time in Bermuda, and there are two videos about my Bermuda trip. But back to earth, back to basics, we're going to do our maple trees. You won't believe that once the spring sets in, I was in the United States only last week. And when I left for United States on the 8th of March, these trees were bare. When I come back, 8th of March, and virtually in about 2 or 3 weeks, I have a shoot which is that long. How long is that? It's more than 12 inches long. So this is the rate at which these plants grow. So all plants have two flushes of growth. They have the first flush in the early spring, which is from now, April to about May. They have a spurt of growth. And then the second flush of growth comes in about August time. So they have these two flushes of growth. So we need to control the growth. If you didn't control it, they get completely out of shape. Look at it. All these 12-inch shoots have grown in the last 2 or 3 weeks. And the shape of the trees will be completely lost. So these trees, I'm going to show you what we do with them. So basically, hopefully they have been potted correctly. I try not to wire the trees too much. I will wire if it is needed. So this one, basic shape with most bonsai is this dome shape or conical shape. I won't talk about the leaf cutting at this stage, but I will mention it. So anything inwards, if you come close with the camera, you can see if there are too many shoots like that, I take it off. I try to create space between the branches. Now that one is going up that way, so I will probably take this off as well. So I've created a space there. This one also, I take that off. I try not to take too much off. I don't want to scalp it. Scalp it meaning making it almost naked or bare. And if there are lots of these side shoots like that, I will take that off. These I don't want. That one could become a nice branch. That one hanging down here, that spoils the line there. So I can take this off because hanging down. Now this one ideally, I should take to the side like that. So I may just put a little bit of wire. Usually, maple trees are not wired. You can achieve the results by simply pruning, but sometimes you may need to assist it by putting some wire on. So I'll show you how I do it. I'm not going to put it tight because they do mark very easily. With pines and junipers, most of the evergreen trees, the marks don't matter because once the marks get old, they add a lot of character to the branch. But with maples, the marks are regarded as a blemish. So I just do it loosely and take it over there. Do be careful with maples. They are prone to breaking. A customer came in only today and said that he was trying to wire his maple. And so I said to him, I bet it snapped. He said, yes. So you see how I've created the space there. I won't be in a rush to cut too much off. The reason being, the more leaves you leave on the tree, the more food it provides into the branches. So the food which is produced from the leaves, the food, remember, are like food factories. The chlorophyll and the sunlight, photosynthesis, creates the food and energy for the tree and goes back into the branches and the trunks and helps to thicken the branches and the trunk. So if you defoliate too much, it won't get a chance to provide nourishment for the main tree, the trunk and all that. So that is the sort of pruning I will do. Adequate there. I may even take that off. So I've created the space. That one is a bit congested. If you see, it's very congested. I don't see any space. You take that off. Anything which is going upwards, I would take off. And I like to leave the crown or the head fairly full. I mentioned in passing about leaf cutting. Leaf cutting, you got to ask yourself, why do you want to do leaf cutting? A lot of people have read that leaf cutting creates a smaller size leaf. It doesn't always follow, because sometimes when you leaf cut, you end up with a bigger leaf. So you got to be very careful. Leaf cutting is normally done so that the tree doesn't get too congested and sunlight can penetrate into the twigs and strengthen the twigs. So it's more to strengthen the twig structure than to reduce the leaf size. So you see, this is the amount I've cut off from this tree. Look at that. And I've got a more civilized looking tree. So if you compare it with some of these, you see how dense that is compared with that. So this is the effect I'm wanting for each of these trees. So I'll do a few just to reinforce the learning. Maple number 2. Now this one, again, it's got a nice basic dome shape, and the shoots have grown, let's have a look, that long, more than a foot long. So much has grown in the last 2 or 3 weeks. So it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 nodes. Nodes meaning these points are called nodes. So it's 5 nodes. And if I left it, it will stay like that. And if I didn't prune at all for the year, in August I'll get another growth and the tree will become so big. And the trunk wouldn't necessarily thicken, but we'll get a big mop head. So that's not good. It'll lose the bonsai shape. So again, this tree, hopefully we put it in the right angle so that you get a nice movement of the trunk. There is one defect in the tree. If you look at it there, you've got an upper branch there which is very thick. Normally that doesn't create good taper. So that is a fault, but since this is a commercial tree, I'm not that fussed. So how do I go about doing this tree? All right, this is the back of the tree. Obviously I don't want to use this as the back, but you see there are a lot of congestion here. You look at all these twigs there. There's too many. I'll take this off. We tried to get a central branch and then use that branch to hang all the leaves. Try not to let it go up and try not to let it go down. Okay, that is cleared a little bit. Now let's look at, this is the front because leaning slightly towards you. It's got a decent conical shape. See, that is falling outside the triangle, so I can cut it down. So can you see it? Look at it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 nodes I've cut off. By the way, for those of you who want to make maple cuttings, this is the ideal type of cutting material to use. We call it semi-hardwood. This tip is what we call soft, but this has just started getting hard. So that is the ideal cutting. We call it nodal cutting. And if you cut the top couple of shoots off and dip this in hormone rooting powder or liquid and stick it half the depth into soft compost, that should root. We get 90% success rate. That means for every 90 cuttings we take out of 100, 90 will strike. That means only 10% losses. So some people manage to get 100% if you use a lot of mist and sophisticated under soil heating or whatever, they would root quicker. But if you don't use heat and simply put in a flower pot, that will grow. But we can't produce or use all of them for cuttings. We don't have the space for it. So it will probably just end up on the compost heap. I'm trying to remove all the shoots which are shooting upwards. That is shooting upwards. Now over here, if you look closely, look at that. That is the main branch. Now that is growing too close. I take that off. Some of those I take off. These I take off. I'm trying to retain the central branch. This is still the back. These are obviously too long. Let's take the tip out. Obviously too long before we do anything else. I still prefer my Felco secateurs. It's what you're used to using. Okay, so we decided that this is a nice front. Now there's some shoots sticking out, hitting you in the eye. I don't want those. Like this one, it's coming straight out at you, hitting you in the eye. I take that off. See how I've cleared the front. I got to ask myself, do I need this one? No, I don't, because it's on the inside of the bend. This also I don't need. And this one going upwards, I don't really need that one. No, let me see. That going up there, I don't need this one. That one I'll think twice before I cut it. This one I'm not too bothered. So although I've done quite a lot of severe pruning, I haven't completely scalped the tree. There's still a lot of foliage left to make it look like a credible bonsai. Now, looking at this closely, you see how this branch is coming out like this. That's not really good, you see. That's not good. So I'll take that off. It's too much congestion here. Also, this little stub is not nice. I take that off. And then with the branch cutter, I can clean those cuts and get a more flush cut over there. I know this is a big branch wen cutter, but cleaning it means like that, flush. And then I will seal those cuts. Like so. You can go around and remove some of these little stubs as well. So this is the back of the tree. I know that's going, that's doing that. So look at it, that's what I would do to this tree, nothing more. And now because I've done some pruning, I'm going to get more ramification as well. So from that tree, this is the amount I've removed. I would say this is about half, don't you think? About half of it. So this is what I've done to this one. Okay, let's get rid of this. Now let's go to another one. So now this hasn't been done. Look at this. Again, very, very congested. It's wilting. We just watered it, but it's wilting. So the young soft shoots I don't need. I've got to find where this the front. I think the front is there. If you look closely in here, you can see how some of these branches are going upwards. I will try and bring them down if I need that. It shouldn't be springing upwards. So let's look at the tree. What I will do, I'll take some of the tips out so I can get a better view because they've grown far too much. Again, remind you that these are 3-week-old shoots. Very, very soft. Okay, now let's look at it critically. This one I can train going there. This one I can train. That one I can wire a little bit to go that way. So you can hardly see what's in there. Okay, this one can be wired flat. That one can come off. Get rid of this, get rid of this. Stay there, keep filming. I'll just bring a branch cutter. You can look at the detail. I'm now going to do a bit of wiring, so I'll show you what I'm going to do. So this is going to be a nice one. I want to bring this branch down. I want to bring this upward growing branch. You see that's shooting upwards. I don't want that. And I think this is going to be too close. Get rid of that. Get rid of this. See how this branch is shooting upwards. I don't want that. I want it horizontal like that. So I'm going to possibly link these two together like that. I'm just using second-hand wire. Again, I'm going to use the wire very lightly, more to guide it along so that it won't mark it. You see, I've flattened it. Rather than going vertically up, I've managed to flatten that a little bit. That one I can also flatten a little bit. Too many branches. Far too many branches there. You see how I've cleared the layers so there's more light going in there. Now this one is a nice branch. I don't need this branch going up that way. So let's take that one off. From these little branches I can take off. Let me get another piece of wire. These wires can come off probably in late summer. See, there's a branch there. Can you see it going down like that? I don't need that one. Huh? And this one is short. I don't need. I don't think I need this one either. So all these can be cleaned up. Okay, so that's the offending branch. I want to pull that down a little bit if I can, or I can wire these down like that. Something what I can do. A bit of an anchor here. We're not wiring this tree for an exhibition. We're just wiring it for training. So don't get too obsessed. As long as the end result is achieved, that's all that matters. This is just to guide the branch along. In fact, I'm just going to put the wire like that to flatten that branch that way. So I'm rationalizing the branch structure. And there's a tangle at the top. If you leave too many branches going from one point, it is a sure recipe for creating inverse taper, because all the energies go back into that point and you will get a swelling over there. So then don't let that happen. So that's another reason why we prune at this stage. So we're directing the energies to the points we want it to grow. So that is the structured tree. And now we're going to watch carefully how these subsidiary twigs are going to pop out. So that is as much as I will do. Look at it. So from this tree, I've taken out that much. And this is the end result. You can see this clean looking lines on that one. So maybe I'll do just one more to reinforce it. So I will have done 4. Now this is really congested. Let's get rid of all this so that I can show you at the end of the pruning how much I take off each tree. Now this one is pretty congested. It's got a nice lean that way. Look at it. It's just a jungle. Dense, dense, dense. So let's make it roughly in a conical shape. It's growing like weeds. I remember in Chinese, for those of you who know Chinese, I don't speak Chinese well, but at New Year time they say Kung He Fat Choi. You know, Fat Choi means the type of vegetable that grows. Fat Choi is very prolific plant. It's like a weed. So these trees are growing prolifically, so much so that it's almost becoming like a weed or a pest. So if you don't control it, you will lose control completely. Now over here, there's a very interesting feature. If you look at it, this branch is popping up over here. I will try and keep it as much as possible, because if I took it off, it may become or make the tree look too bare. But that is what is causing a lot of the congestion. So let me remove the congestion slowly and see what I get. That's popping up. I'm taking that vertically growing branch off. I've taken that off. Now over here, you see this little branch here. That I don't think I need. Okay, I can take this off. The trunk is still quite nice. Now over here, you can see there's some thick branches and thin branches. I may not need too many. This is where all the congestion and problem is arising. Let me take part of this off and see what happens. See how I've thinned it. The tree is looking thinner, isn't it? And I've got to create a triangular shape at the top. So you can see I've reduced the congestion quite a bit. Now over here, if you look here, there are 3 branches, 1, 2, 3. Now that thick one in the middle I can take off because I want to create space there. So let's take that off. Okay, I've taken that off. So I've created space there. I can refine it a bit with the wend cutter and get a smooth cut. Now I can take that off. Still a lot of congestion. You see how much I've taken off. Now this one, I don't think I need. You look at this one. This little one here. I'm going to take this off. So I've got a cleaner trunk line. That I'll leave for the time being. So this is what I've created so far. Much cleaner look to the tree. That is hanging. Let it get firm. So this is as much I'm going to take off. I'm now going to let these shoots get hard. That means get firm. So from this tree, I've taken that much off. Again, at least half of it off. So that is the structure of your tree. You can see the structure, lovely, like a slanting style twin trunk or whatever. So that is the future direction of that tree. So there are two more to do. I won't do any more, but from a very congested blob, you can get more elegant looking trees. This one I didn't do, but I've done three, isn't it? These are the three I've done. So there you go. I hope you've learned something from that.